that small. If I'm gonna send you. All right, and then if I'm gonna add a little bit to that, if I'm gonna add more, it's gotta be from here. It cannot be from here. I'm gonna send you, and right back into it. Okay, right back into it. If you listen to Robert Plant sing, he does a lot of light to heavy to light, and it's I guarantee you, almost all the same volume. Okay, that's at least the way it sounds to me. It's just a little bit of something and a little bit of light voice. Okay. Hey guys, Rye Guy here. I want to go over something really important when it comes to belting, when it comes to screaming, whether you're doing a full-on scream, whether you're just using a little bit of heat on a note. This is a problem that a few of my students have been having. This is one of my biggest setbacks. Thinking that you had to, fill up this whole big room full of sound when you're hitting these big belt notes, and that changes your coordination. It really does. It sends everything out this way, and really what that's called in mixed singing is splatting. So your voice kind of goes out that way, and the only way to make it louder, or so you think, is to just keep pushing more and more. Your neck gets super tense, your larynx shoots straight up, and it's interesting going backwards and saying, well, that's how I thought I was hearing, some of my favorite singers sing, and that's actually not the case. The student, yesterday, was really into Robert Plant and Chris Cornell, and I said, watch a video, watch what they're doing. They don't have their mouth, wide open. They're not like they don't have like veins popping up like out of their neck. It's controlled and it's actually focused. So instead of thinking of it as like this, almost like a light out of a lighthouse, just kind of going everywhere, it's like a laser beam. Okay, and that's how you're going to do this sound safely. Whether it's mixed, whether it's with heat, whether it's even head voice, or whether it's a full-on scream. All right, and especially live and in the studio, all of those frequencies are going right into the microphone. All right, so that's how it sounds, like this big full sound. So this was my favorite exercise that I did. One of my teachers asked if I smoked, and I said no. And he said, listen to somebody who does, and they take a drag of a cigarette, and then they kind of keep talking to you like this, right? What they're doing is they're holding the smoke in their lungs, and then they let it out. And usually when we're belting and screaming and doing it the wrong way and pushing, what actually ends up happening is we take this whole breath of lung, and it blows out real quick. It sets everything up for failure, and then you're left with no breath, no note, and just a whole shit ton of tension. All right, so now we got to backpedal. All right, what we're doing is we're actually getting a lung full of air, and our diaphragm expands. Oh, it's almost like filling up a balloon, right? So imagine there's like a balloon down here, and you're just holding that balloon, and you're just letting a little bit out, right? Because if you let that whole thing out, it just goes, and it just like flies all over the place, and there's no frequency. But you know how you can get those little frequencies. That's the breath control. It takes all the tension out of here. Your vocal folds don't have to battle, even if you're using false chords to scream. They don't have to battle all that pressure. It just ends up being naturally the right pressure once you get this down. So one exercise to do that you can do at any time is, as long as you don't feel it right here, we want, almost like you're pushing your abs out a little bit. You got a little bit of a pot belly, pushing that out a little bit, and you got your abs like nice and tense. And just kind of like talk like that. And put your hand right here. Make sure that there's no tension, because sometimes what you can do is you can kind of double up. Because especially if you're used to being tense, you'll kind of feel tension up here. Make sure no tension. You're just gonna kind of talk like that. Be real loose, almost like move all that around. Make sure there's no tension. The best way to do it is just breathe real relaxed. Put your fingers right here, right up here. Like right under your jawbone. All right, you're gonna feel this muscle. It's like the back end of your tongue muscle, and you're just gonna. And then even if you're going like this does not tense up at all. It's got to be the same tension, and that might take a little while to get used to. I like to call it the Marge exercise, the Marge Simpson exercise. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it right now. Let me check. So you go, Marge, large, and you're gonna, the vibration is gonna come out here a lot of times. The problem is if you're using a full lung of air, it's gonna come straight out of your mouth. You're not gonna be using any of the resonance up here, which is going to pull all the frequency down and pull all the tension up. It's going to make it sound worse and cause more tension and damage. It's my favorite warm-up. After I, you know, do all my lip rolls and everything's feeling nice and loose, I just go ma 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 ma. Make sure you know, if you're a high larynx singer and you get a lot of tension right there, you can kind of lower this down a little bit. As high as you can, holding that, and that's holding your chords nice and together. Now you're gonna, you know, if I go up here, ma 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 ma, it starts to break apart a little bit. I didn't really warm up to those notes yet. Make sure that you're warmed up. All right, make sure that there's no tension here. All the tension is here, and yes, I'm going to use that word. All your tension is just sitting right there. Tension, but there's still no tension here. The way that you can tell, able to speak without clearing my throat. If you feel like there's some gunk right here after you do a scream or after you do some heavy belting, this means your vocal folds are starting to swell a little bit. So just stop. I know everybody wants to practice and practice and practice. And we'll go through some nice cool down steps to get you back. But that idea of instead of and just like really just pushing all that air out, you can, right back to that note, and there's no tension here. And the last thing for breath exercises is it's just an SH. What I want you to do is time it. See how long you can do that for, all right, without running out of breath. What's going to happen when you start getting this breath control down, what's really going to happen is you're going to go, you're going to have to let the air out because there's old oxygen in your lungs that isn't doing anything for your body. You got to let that out and breathe in again. Instead of losing your breath completely, which is from pushing too hard, what you're going to do is you're going to hold and then have to let the old oxygen out. That's how you know you're starting to get this breath control thing down. So, steps in the lesson. A little bit more of a hold, a little bit more of this kind of a thing. Make sure that you're not bunching these muscles up. These are going to be really relaxed, all right? And that breath control, and it's smaller and more focused rather than humongous and trying to fill the room. It'll fill the room. Believe me, when you get that focused sound, it'll bounce off. If it splats, it goes everywhere, and there's no focus to it. You know, there's no frequency to it, okay? So I hope that helps you guys. Remember, as long as we're tense here and we're not tense here, you guys are good. If you do an exercise and you start to talk and you crack a little bit, just stop, relax. Don't do it too much. That's how damage happens, but it will take practice to get this. So I'm not going to say don't do it at all. All right, till next time, guys. This is Raw Guy. Thanks so much.